The Hauntings of the Cardigan Arms, Leeds' historic and haunted pub. The Cardigan Arms, one of Leeds' oldest and most beloved pubs, sits on the edge of Burley Road, its Victorian architecture and warm lights drawing in locals and travellers alike. Built in 1896, the pub is known not only for its cosy atmosphere and historic charm, but also for its ghostly lore. Over the years, patrons and staff have reported eerie occurrences, making it clear that this isn't just a place for drinks and laughter, it's a place where the past still lingers, deeply embedded in its walls. Named after the Earl of Cardigan, the pub's history is rooted in Leeds' industrial past. During its early years, the pub was frequented by factory workers and locals who found solace within its walls. While there's no specific record of tragedy on the grounds of the Cardigan Arms, its proximity to the old factories and harsh working conditions in the area meant that hardship and misfortune were not strangers to this establishment. Many believe that some of these energies have settled in the pub, particularly in the cellar and back rooms, creating a sense of unrest that pervades the building. Locals tell stories of an infamous night decades ago when a man reportedly fell down the stairs leading to the cellar after a late night drink. His tragic death has fueled tales of ghostly activities in the pub, with many claiming that his spirit never left. Perhaps the most unsettling spot in the Cardigan Arms is its cellar. For years, bartenders have reluctantly descended the steep, narrow steps to fetch supplies, only to report feeling watched or experiencing an unexplained chill. Some have even heard muffled voices and the faint sound of footsteps on the creaky floorboards above, even when no one else was in the pub. One former bartender recalled an encounter late at night when she went to the cellar alone. She felt a sudden cold breeze and heard a soft, raspy whisper just behind her. Turning around, she found no one there, but the sense of being watched grew stronger. She completed her task quickly, feeling a presence linger as she climbed back up the steps, and she never returned to the cellar alone after that night. Several others who have ventured into the cellar report similar experiences: an overwhelming feeling of dread, the sound of heavy breathing, and even the feeling of something brushing past them. Some say that the spirit of the man who died on those stairs roams the cellar, still bound to the place where he took his last fall. In a quiet back room, often reserved for private gatherings or quieter patrons, there's another ghostly presence, known as the Shadow. This entity is often glimpsed out of the corner of one's eye, moving quickly across the room before disappearing. Described as a dark human like shape that lacks distinct features, the shadow is unsettling in its silence and suddenness. One evening, a group of friends seated in this room were discussing the pub's ghost stories when one of them suddenly froze, staring toward the far corner of the room. The others followed her gaze and saw the shadowy figure move swiftly past the doorway and disappear. They left the room immediately, shaken by the sighting. Since then, sightings of the shadow have been reported sporadically, with witnesses describing a profound sense of cold and dread that lingers even after the figure has vanished. Some believe the shadow is an echo of someone who frequented the pub in the early 20th century, perhaps an unsettled soul who wanders aimlessly, his purpose lost to time. Apart from specific apparitions, there are countless reports of strange sounds and flickering lights throughout the Cardigan Arms. Patrons have heard the sounds of chairs scraping against the floor and glasses clinking in empty rooms, as if some unseen patrons are carrying on their conversations from another time. Lights flicker sporadically, particularly in the back room and cellar, though electricians have found no faults with the wiring. Late one winter evening, two employees closing the pub heard faint laughter and muffled voices coming from the main room. Thinking that some patrons were still lingering, they checked the area, only to find it completely empty. The sound stopped as soon as they entered the room, and as they turned to leave, the lights flickered. The two quickly locked up and left, but they both claimed afterward that it felt as though they were being watched from the shadows. A particularly chilling aspect of the Cardigan Arms hauntings involves an old mirror that hangs near the entrance. Over the years, the mirror has become infamous for revealing faces and figures that aren't in the room. Patrons have reported looking into the mirror and seeing faint figures standing behind them, only to turn around and find no one there. One regular described an unsettling experience late one night when he glanced in the mirror and saw an unfamiliar man standing just over his shoulder, dressed in clothing that seemed decades old. He turned around, and the figure was gone, but his reflection lingered in the mirror a few seconds longer than it should have, giving the man a feeling he later described as icy to the bone. Rumour has it that the mirror originally belonged to a hotel that closed down decades ago and was brought to the Cardigan Arms afterwards. Some locals believe that the mirror itself is haunted, perhaps carrying the energy of someone long past, forever trapped within its glass. Today, the Cardigan Arms continues to be a popular pub, serving locals and visitors who are drawn to its cosy ambience and historic charm. Despite, or perhaps because of, its ghostly legends, the pub has earned a reputation as one of Leeds' most haunted spots. For some, the idea of a spectral presence adds an appealing layer of mystery, while others approach the Cardigan Arms with a healthy dose of caution. Whether it's the cold, watchful spirit in the cellar, the unsettling shadow in the back room, or the eerie reflections in the old mirror, the Cardigan Arms seems to live in two worlds, one of warmth and camaraderie, and one of lingering spirits, each with their own stories and secrets. Those who visit may come for a pint, but many leave with a tale of their own, convinced they've encountered a piece of the pub's haunted history that lives on, unseen but undeniably felt, within its walls.